Well, and as I heard, everything in her house except the walls are painted by her. And I am very sure her husband rues the fact that she doesn't paint the wall. That could have given him some cost reduction. And my acquaintance again with Sangeeta started only the social media. And initially looking at, I thought she is some finance professional that are moved into Chennai from Northeast, because her social media name was Sangeeta Shum. When I looked at her face, I thought one of her parents should be from Chennai. Then I learned that her name was Sangeeta Shankaran Sumesh. So, and then even I knew Sumesh very well at that point in time. It didn't occur to me to ask Sumesh about her. And only later, after I asked Sumesh, that shows the kind of humility both these two executive. And I read her blogs and posts very regularly. And one more important thing is she's also a regular runner. She used to be a regular runner. That is one thing I miss seeing in her posts recently. And I would request her to do more of it, because so that she can be part of martyrs like me. So that's another request to her. And for those who have already experienced her classes or sessions, I don't want to stand in between you. And for the rest of them, we are going to experience this today. So without much further ado, I will not stand in the way of all of you and her, and I leave the session to her. Thank you.
Thank you.
So very good evening, everybody. Thank you for the introduction. Amazing job. And I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces here. So it's an absolute delight. Thanks to Rotarian Satya. He has been, insisting that I come here and meet all of you. Sorry. Yeah. So thanks for that. And so I was just wondering, what I need to speak about. And I was told majority of them are businessmen. But I also noticed there are quite a few chartered accountants here, which was quite a surprise to me. So nonetheless, the topic that I thought I'll speak about is about my book, which is called Where's the Moolah? What does moolah mean? Money. Exactly, money. Moolah means money. So where is the money? So that's what the book is about, and I'm going to give you some snippets and some tidbits from the book that if you're into business, you can use it, but you can also use it, some of these concepts, into your personal money matters, right? So that's what it is all about. So, okay, so he's just going to get started. Like Simon Sinek says, start with why. So why do we have to discuss this topic, right? So let me give you this real life example. There's somebody who reached out to me, somebody in his 50s, who was a very successful businessman. And then suddenly he pings me and he says, I need help. I was wondering what happened. So he reaches out to me and he told me he had started his business when he was straight out of college. He was running it very successfully. He had won a lot of awards. His turnover was increasing, doubling and tripling every other year. The margins were very good. In fact, he used to tell his customers, I can give you extra discount. The customers wouldn't even ask him, but he used to go and give them discounts. He said, in my heydays, I couldn't even differentiate, if something costed 10,000 rupees or $10,000. It was all the same to me. Fast forward few years. What happened? the business is in bad state. And I couldn't believe that the business that was flourishing so well is all, top-sided right now. So I dug onto details as a business coach. I started having some conversations with him and then found out a lot of hard-hitting realities. His business, call it luck, fluke, whatever, was flourishing very well. But this gentleman did not know anything about finance. He wasn't actually managing the business. There were no processes, there was no structure in place, there were no internal controls, there was nobody actually approving things. He had hired some people who were not professionals. They were competent, but they were not really professionals. And the business just kept going on and on. He had good customers, he had large global clients. So the business kept going on and on. Obviously, it was flourishing for a long time. And then what happened, you must be wondering. He had huge debt. And most of this money was sitting in as work in progress. And it had plummeted so much, and because of lack of processes and other things, the business slowly started to decline, and the business is in a state which it is right now. And it was at this juncture that he got in touch with me, and then we are working together to see what can be done to see how the business can go back to its previous place. So that is exactly why I thought I should share with you, why is it important? For you may be running your business, you may be having your own money to manage, but it is important for you to understand a little bit of finance and pay some attention to it so that your business can grow further and you can get a lot more successful. So let's get to some of these brass tacks. Let me give you another example. Another client of mine, running a very huge business. He's actually taken over from his father. Very large business, doing very well. And during our coaching conversation, I said, what is the purpose of your business? And guess what he tells me? Oh, my purpose is just to make money. While a business exists to make money, because otherwise you might as well do charity. However, there should be a purpose that's much beyond making money. How are you going to serve your customers? What is your USP? What is the value addition your business is bringing to? A lot of things need to be clarified, and the purpose statement is very important. Because if you were to notice some of these records of large companies, the companies with a purpose have done a lot better than companies without a well-defined purpose. Because the purpose statement, it actually gives you clarity and it percolates down to your team members as well. And therefore, it's extremely important to have a well-defined purpose statement. So what is the purpose that your business is into? If you were to talk about growth, what does growth mean to you? A lot of people just say, oh, it's my top line growth. Yes, it can be your top line growth, it can be your bottom line growth, it can be having better cash balances, maybe more number of headcount, more number of branches, newer territories. It can mean different things to different businesses. Have you defined it? And is your team also aligned with it? Because many times we have it in our head and we assume people around us are also aware of it. So have that clarity, define what your growth means, and you can work towards it. What are the key metrics for your business? How many of you have read this book, Good to Great, by Jim Collins? It's a fantastic book. I would highly recommend you all to read it. So there he talks about different metrics. So what are the key metrics for your business? Have you defined it? Are you tracking them? Because that is going to give you a lot of insights on the performance, especially the financial performance of your business. So check that out. And then, of course, what is the strategy that you're adopting, right? Because strategy is what will lead you to the growth that you want. So what sort of strategy do you have in place? How is your business growing? What is the future plans? All that needs to be put in as the blueprint of your business, and of course shared with the key stakeholders. So normally when I say strategy, people think, oh, it's going to cost me a lot of money, it's going to involve a lot of time and many different things. But let me give you this real life example of this vegetable vendor. He had a lot of aspirations to set up his own shop, but he used to have a push cart, right? And he used to go around selling the fruits and vegetables in these large residential complexes. So what he realized, when he started off in the morning, it was only like few people who used to come to him. Why? Because many didn't know he had arrived. So he did a simple jugaad. What did he do? He took a mobile, connected it to a loudspeaker, and every day he used to record his message. He used to, call out whichever vegetables at whatever price he was selling. He would record it, he would connect it to the loudspeaker so that the people who are in the topmost floors can hear it, right? And therefore, as soon as people start hearing, they would also, people who are cost conscious would start comparing the prices, and if they wanted a particular vegetable, they used to come to him and pick up. So while he was busy attending to his customers, the loudspeaker was doing the needful, right? And this helped him to set up his own shop. So my friends, strategy need not be something, major, something where it involves a lot of cost, time and effort. All it needs sometimes is just a little out of box thinking that's needed. So what kind of strategy do you have for your business? How is it that you want to grow? Think about those things. Since a lot of you are also not into business, let me also share another little thing here with you. Especially for your personal life, for your personal growth and development. This is another example that I'd like to share with you. So this is about a client of mine. He works in the US and he wanted to grow in his career, which I'm sure many of us would like to if you're working in a corporate or in a job. So his idea of growth, he just wanted to kind of switch jobs and get a better salary. But we as humans, although money is important to us, there is something that's much beyond, that's much more important, right? Because money is not everything at the end of the day. So with this client, during our coaching conversation, I asked him, I said, what is growth? What is it that you want? Because he was already a director in a large multinational. So I said, what more do you want? What defines, what drives you, what motivates you? And then his thought process started. For him, growth meant many different things. And he wasn't sure what he wanted because he was like, okay, I'm a director, I want to move to the C-suite level next. So I said, okay, great, same business, another industry. He got confused. Then he also said, oh, I also love startups because, startup is a fad. I would probably want to associate myself with a startup as well. So I said, listen, most of your career has been in a corporate. How comfortable will you be in a startup where you have to actually pull up your socks and do things yourself? I said, are you game for it? And that was again a trigger for him. And he was also very passionate into sports. So he said, probably I should be a sports coach. So I said, okay, great. Whom do you want to coach? Is it the children, the teenagers, or adults? And again, he was at a loss. So through our coaching conversation, he got a lot of clarity on what exactly he wanted. So he was able to narrow down. Of course, while money was an important factor for his growth, he was able to narrow down to say, for me, growth means I need to move on to a better organization, an organization that's larger than my present one. I must be in a position where I'm handling a large number of people, in my team size has to grow. And it must also give me a lot of learning and development. So he was able to narrow down on what growth meant to him. So my dear friends, I'd like you all to take a moment and think, what does growth mean to you? Which area do you want to grow? In your personal space, your professional space, and how? What do you want to do? So you can think about it and reflect to see where you want to take your life ahead. So that is one thing. So coming back to our financial goals. This again, you can use it in your personal or professional space to set your financial goals, because a lot of things, if you don't have a goal, you're never going to get to where you want to, right? So it's important to have goals. So be it for your business or for your personal life, what are your financial goals? While it may be a number, if you were to look at the art of setting the financial goals, how does that look like? I'm an acronym person. I love sharing acronyms because the recall value is higher and what you need to do. So the acronym you need to remember here is TOM, T-O-M. Remember the Tom and Jerry cartoon, right? So what does T stand for? T is your time frame. So whatever are your financial goals, break them down into short term, medium term and long term. What is it that you want to achieve and how much, right? So set yourself a time frame. O stands for objectives. What is the objective? What is driving you to make that money that you want to make, right? So maybe it can be purchase of something or whatever it is. So have your objectives in place. And then M stands for measure, because without the measure, you're never going to know how close or how far you are from your financial goals. And therefore, it's important to measure, because like there's a book title, what you measure matters, right? So therefore, it's important to measure your financial goals. So if you were to maximize your financial potential, be it personally or in your business, what do you need to do? So what does CSR stand for? Corporate social responsibility. That's what everybody says, but in financial parlance, I call it slightly different. And what do I say? C stands for your cash management, right? So money is everything. I mean, if you don't manage your money, you can have a lot of money, but if you're not managing it properly, you're going to be in trouble. Look at the Pandavas, right? Though they were the kings, they lost all their money, right? So cash management is important. And then comes S, which stands for spend management. How are you managing your spend? While you may have a frugal mentality, are you utilizing the spend in an efficient and effective manner, right? So maybe do you have your budgets in place? Do you do a variance analysis? Whatever that is, you can ensure you're being prudent in your spend. And R stands for the revenue management. Because once your revenue is growing, you don't really have to be bothered too much about the spend. So how exactly are you managing your revenue in your both personal life as well as in your business? So think about that and remember the CSR principles to maximize your financial potential. Right, so like the topic, where's the moolah? So let me give you a little bit on that. Where's the moolah is focused on financial growth hacks for business profitability. So the underlying principle here that I've taken is a business is like a vehicle, right? Because for a vehicle to move and propel ahead, all the wheels have to move. So it's not just, just one wheel goes and the rest stay back, right? A vehicle, if it has to move ahead, so similarly your business, if it has to move ahead, look at it like a vehicle. So I have broken down the business into the different functions, the business wheel I call it, and you would agree with me, every function of the business is interlinked. You can't say, I will focus only on my customers and leave the other things behind. For you to have good customers, good top line growth, your quality is important. For you to keep growing your customer base, marketing is important. For you to scale your business, technology is important. And for your business to be successful, you need your people. So a business, all these departments are interlinked with each other, and that is why I say the business is like a wheel. So in this book, I have broken it down into 8 different functions, which is by and large common for most businesses. So that's like people, customers, operations, finance, strategy, marketing, technology, and the suppliers. So that is the theme of the book. So in your business, I would urge you all to think and see where, how, what can be done to maximize your profitability. So I'm just giving you a sneak peek. So this is like the marketing wheel of the business, right? So if you were to analyze the marketing wheel, I've just broken it down into other components. So for example, the marketing is undertaken for your top line growth, right? So for the top line growth, you can probably do a referral marketing or like a digital marketing. Idea is to see how you're able to attract the number of clients that you want, the right kind of clients, right? It's important you spend your time, effort, money and energy in attracting the right clients, because many people sometimes say, oh, the whole world is my client. It doesn't happen that way. So define your target, right? So how you can go about is through referral marketing and digital marketing, and thereby you also be cost efficient. So because cost is definitely a factor. So if you want to be cost effective, you can look at collaborative marketing or also outlier marketing strategies, right? So think about that. The book talks about a lot of these and has a lot of examples. There are also threats to marketing, threats from your competitors. And you also need to give in the right kind of messaging to your clients. That's very important, because I think in the book I have spoken about the example of Titan, the jewelry. If you remember, I think a couple of years back, there was a very controversial advertisement on Titan, which involved some religious sentiments and stuff like that. So there were again two schools of thoughts there. So one school was like, there were a lot of people who appreciated the advertisement because it was beautifully done. And of course, the people who were anti-religion, they had their own sentiments to say that, it wasn't good. But another journalist had broken it down saying, this was done on purpose just to get the attention from their customers. Now, I don't know which is the truth, but your messaging has to be right and needs to be in tune with what your potential target customers are expecting. And of course, marketing is a spend. So what is your ROI, your return on investment on marketing, right? That is something very, very important. So you could outsource the marketing function, or do you have set up a proper marketing funnel? So I've given examples and stories there. So that is what the wheel of marketing is about. Do you know what this is? Karma, yes, right. So this, for those who don't know, this is equivalent to the old radio. Now, Saregama, they had the ones who introduced it, and they had adopted a beautiful marketing technique, a very cost-effective technique. They didn't spend much on marketing, but the product became a super duper hit. What did they do? When they launched it, they did not have like a fancy launch. They did not spend too much money on it. What did they do? They went to radio, right? And they had a lot of podcasts. Obviously, all of this was a lot cheaper. And thereafter, it picked up through referrals, right? They were very clear. They said, this is not meant for the younger generation. This is meant for people of the older generation. And therefore, the songs that it has, I think it has like 5,000 plus songs in different languages. So whichever language you want, you can pick that up. And songs of the yesteryears, which people could relate. So what happened? The younger generation started purchasing a lot of this and started gifting their parents, grandparents, whoever, and the word of mouth just spread. So you see, this is a very cost-effective way of marketing, and at the same time, their revenue soared. So that is an example I'd like to tell you. And again, coming to marketing, with another client of mine, and this is for a personal thing that I want to tell, not really for the business. This client of mine was also wanting to grow in his career. And he wanted me to vet his profile. So the first round that he shared during our coaching conversation, his profile was like one Adikalathu profile. Like 4 or 5 pages running into details and details. So I said, listen, in this day and age, where your attention span is really less, nobody is going to look through this in detail. So then he cut short multiple rounds of coaching conversation we had, and then finally he was able to give me a fairly crisp resume, which was a one-pager. So that was pretty good progress compared to his past. But then, as a coach, I said, listen, if I were to recruit you, why should I recruit you? What is the value add you're going to bring? What is your USP, your unique selling point? I do not see any of this highlighted. Though this person was highly competent and very senior also, none of this was specified in his profile. So I said, if you're keen to grow and if you're keen to move into the next level in your career, it should specify, what are your key achievements, highlights, what is it that you've done, what is your success quotient, right? And that was an eye-opener. So marketing is not just for the business. You have to market yourself also, whichever role that you're playing, right? It could be in your career. If you want to go and get yourself a new girlfriend, you have to market to that person as well, right? So anywhere and everywhere that you need to go, you need to market yourself, and marketing and therefore is not restricted just to the business. It is required for everybody. So then I'll also quickly take you through the finance wheel of the business. So if this you were to break it down, of course cost, when you say finance cost, we need to be cost conscious. So that's where I spoke about the spend management. And then you can also check what are the best practices in your industry that you can replicate from your competitors and others into your business, right? So get to know the best practices that's prevalent. What about the financial performance of your business? Are you doing a financial review? Are you looking at your management information systems periodically? Like, the story that I told you in the beginning. What was happening? This person was never looking at the monthly accounts, the monthly financials, because there was always enough cash and that's what mattered. But didn't really know the financial performance. The auditor used to do something and come, and the person just used to blindly sign without understanding the meaning of what is happening in the business. So therefore, how is it for you? Are you doing your financial reviews regularly? Do you even check the vertical wise profitability on how your business is performing? And then of course, cash flow. You need to know and understand and manage your cash, because cash is like, oxygen. Like how we cannot be without oxygen, your business cannot be without cash. And therefore, what are the steps that you're taking? We will deep dive a little more into the cash flow in the upcoming slides. And then on scaling, how are you planning to scale your business, right? Let me again give you an interesting example. I was coaching a CFO of a large group in Gujarat. And in this business, they wanted to take the business to the next level, which is a great idea, great thought. The business was also into different verticals, right? So the CFO had set himself a target. He's been with the organization, he's seen it grown and evolve very well. And his objective was, he said, in the next 3 years, I want the revenue to grow, whatever, 5x or some number that he had, which is a great way to grow and scale. However, this idea of his, it was not communicated with the business heads, because everybody were on the same page to say, yes, we need to grow, but the growth aspect was different in each person's head. While one wanted to, grow his vertical and, enter newer territories, newer geographies, outside of India, another business head, he just wanted to put in more money into his business and make that grow. So each one had a totally different idea. So that's when, during the coaching conversation, I told him, I said, you need to get these things clarified and all of you need to be aligned. Because you can't say I need to grow it by 5x and they probably thinking it's only 3x. Then the business will not win. So if you want your business to win, ensure there's alignment amongst everybody. So that is what it is. And I would also like to caution you about something. This is about another client of mine. Once this person called me frantically, and then I said, what's happening? So he said, no, can I meet you? I said, okay. So we met for dinner, and I was told, rather he asked me, he said, do you know some good investors? And the way he asked, I knew he was bothered by something, because I could see a lot of pain and anguish, and being a coach, I was able to relate to what he said. So I said, what happened suddenly, So he says, I've been having a lot of cash flow issues. I'm having sleepless nights. I don't know how I'm going to pay my next month's salaries. Even though the business has been running successfully for past few months, past few years, now it's in bad shape. I'm not able to discuss this with my family, not my employees, because I don't want people to get perturbed about this. And therefore, I feel if I get an investor on board, my cash issue is going to be resolved. Right? So this, my friends, is what I call the fake stake syndrome. So during the coaching conversation, I started asking him a few more questions. I said, we need to get to the root cause, because the investor will come pump in the money, and probably it may be a temporary solution, and you will be answerable to the investor as well on the financial performance. But if you're not able to address the root cause, you're never going to be able to fix these issues. So we started deep diving, and then we realized there was no proper mechanism of cash collection. The revenue model was flawed, and again, the finance matters were a big mess. So therefore, we started working together on fixing these issues, and then to scale is when you need to go for investment, because the best is if you're able to manage by your own self. The business must be sufficient, financially sufficient to help the business to grow, but unless you really want to grow it in a very large manner, then it makes sense to have investors. So beware of the fake stake syndrome. So then I also say there are these 7 sins of cash management. Again, you could use this for your business as well as your profession. First is not anticipating your money in and money out. Because if you do not anticipate, you never know, what the key requirements are. Like, to give you a simple example, small things like Diwali time, you normally tend to pay an extra month's bonus. So you need to keep that extra amount of cash in place. Otherwise, if you want to go ahead and make some big purchases for your business, your cash is going to get stuck. So anticipate your cash in and cash out. Being passive and not following up the monies that are due to you. Are you collecting on time, right? Do you have somebody who's following up and then, ensuring the person is paying you within the credit period that you're allowed? Borrowing to fix the cash flow issue and not the root cause. This is the example that I gave you just now. So you can, borrow or look at investors, whatever, but without fixing the root cause will get you into trouble. When you're unaware of your cash runway, I think COVID was a great time where many businesses, that's when they realized, how they did not have sufficient cash runway, right? So it's important that the business has sufficient runway. What is cash runway? Anybody? Sorry? Reserves, yes, but more than that, assuming your business is not going to get any money, how long can the business sustain? Can it sustain for 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, right? So ensure your business what is the cash runway? So that is the worst case scenario. And then the 5th sin is not monitoring the movement of funds. Again, that could lead you into trouble. 6th is not utilizing the cash to generate more cash. Now, if you're having a cash surplus, at present, maybe you could look at investing it into liquid funds or whatever, so that your cash is generating more cash for you. And the last sin, of course, is not creating sufficient cash reserves, right? Without the cash reserve, personally and for the business, we get into trouble. So always important to look at cash reserves. So I would also, like I said, give you an acronym to remember your cash management better, where C stands for collect on time. Like I said, whatever is the credit that you're giving your customers, ensure you're collecting on time. A stands for anticipate what is in and out, like I told you, the sin. S is to systematically monitor. You need to keep monitoring. At any point in time, you need to know at least approximately what is the amount that you have with you in your bank, whatever. So keep monitoring, and also be on the lookout for unexpected debits. Sometimes it just happens. Maybe it could be a wrong debit, or the bank is just charging you something extra. You never know, so have an eye on that. And H is, of course, like I said, the habit of reserves. So collect on time, anticipate your in and out, systematically monitor, and have the habit of reserves, so that your cash is managed better. Like, cash is king, right? So ensure you're able to manage it better. So that is what I basically wanted to share. And yes, these are my books. If you like fiction, this is a spiritual thriller. It's called A Glance at the Unknown. It won me an award as one of the 100 inspiring authors of India. Yes, thank you. And then is What the Finance. If you want to know a little bit more about finance, this is no gyan. It's a very practical one. This is the problem, this is the solution. So that is what it is. It explains. It's a national bestseller. And Get High is on how to coach yourself for high performance in your work. It's an activity-based book. It's been endorsed by a lot of the industry experts. So basically, how can you get better at whatever that you're doing? And it's a pretty interesting, quick read one. And of course, Where's the Mullah, like I told you, it also has insights from a lot of successful entrepreneurs as well as senior leaders from the industry. So I do have some copies in case any of you want to buy one. You feel free. I also have my YouTube channel. I keep posting regularly on finance, leadership, high performance, and strategy. So if you would like to, feel free to subscribe. I'm on Instagram. You can find me as the Gain Enabler in all my social media handles. And of course, like Krish said, Sang Shasum, which is an abbreviation of my name, Sangeeta Shankaran Sumesh. So so now I'd like to hear from you. What stood out for you? What are you planning to implement in your business, in your personal life?